explosion happening at a condominium in Orion Township. Officials are calling this a potential gas explosion on Walden Road. They're warning people to stay away from that area. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Terrence Friday. Our Kelly Vaughn is nearby gathering information about what's happening. Kelly, we see that dramatic video coming out of that area. What can you tell us about what happened?
Well, Terrence, some unfortunate updates for you. We know at least 2 people have been injured and taken to the hospital. The fire chief telling us some do have minor injuries, but at least 2 taken to the hospital with injuries. The Orion Township Fire Chief Ryan Allen, he tells us that explosion was likely caused by a gas leak. Again, they're in the very initial stages of this investigation, but they say this was probably caused by a gas leak. They say 1 building exploded. That caused significant damage to another building and minor damage to 1 or 2 other buildings here. Now, at the moment, crews are working with DTE and consumers to control that gas leak. They're still working to put out spot fires, and then once they get those put out, they'll be able to get inside the building and search for more information as to what caused this. Now, all the surrounding buildings here have been checked for fire danger and gas leaks. Some people actually have had to be evacuated, of course, in the building that suffered the most damage and the surrounding buildings, and they're being bused to a relocation point at Woodside Church in Orion Township. Now, the chief says it's very important for people in this area to know that if they've been displaced or impacted by this, they should go to Woodside Church. They're also asking residents that live in this area to stay in place because a lot of the roads are blocked with fire hoses, and they're saying if your road is blocked with a fire hose, don't drive over it, stay in place. Now, we're expecting another update from the fire chief here in just a few minutes. We're hoping to bring you that live, but listen to what he had to say just a few minutes ago.
Possibly or probably a gas leak that caused an explosion. We're not sure. We haven't confirmed any of that, but that's what the initial looks like. We don't know where in the building it would be. We have transported 2 people with critical injuries to the hospitals as of right now, a couple with minor injuries. We do have a relocation and displacement set up at the Woodside Church here in Orion Township. The crews have worked with DTE and consumers in order to get the gas leak controlled at the time. We're putting out some spot fires, and then we'll be able to get some additional information to you at a later time once we've been able to search that building. But as of right now, we've not been able to search the building that exploded because it's been deemed unsafe, and we had to get the gas leak under control first.
1 building? 2 buildings?
It was 1 building that exploded. It did cause damage, significant damage to 1 other building, and it looks like minor damage to 2 or 3 other buildings.
The criticals, were they inside, I guess, or walking nearby?
I do not know where they were found. Obviously, an involving incident like that, the first crews picked them up, transported them rapidly to the hospital so they could get the care that they needed, and we're going to put that together as the scene evolves.
What departments are all on scene here tonight?
We have Oxford Township, Independence Township, Orion Township, Oakland Township, Rochester Hills, Auburn Hills, the Sheriff's Department, and I'm sure 1 or 2 others.
Team effort, for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Are people able to move in and out of here? I've heard some people who are like in neighboring buildings being told to stay put because if they drive over something.
So we have hoses across the roadway. So if the roadway is blocked by hoses, we've asked them to stay where they are. The buildings around have been checked and are being deemed safe right now. Any building that's been questionable, we've moved the people, and we've been able to provide a busing from this area to the relocation point. So we have been able to take care of everybody so far.
What time did the call come in?
I don't have that information right now.
And obviously also devastating right before the holidays.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure in the next couple days we'll help and work with the Sheriff's Department and the township as a whole in order to get some sort of relief effort put together for these people.
Can you talk about the effort to check gas? We saw crews going around kind of possibly checking gas. And
correct. So the gas company, Consumers has a, if you will, a gas detector, and they're using that in order to check the scene, and then we're following up right with it in order to put out any spot fires.
What's a good, so you said like 45 minutes, or what's a good time to plan on an update from you?
Let's go 9:15.
9:15 right
Same
there?
spot.
Now, this is a large scene here in Orion Township. It's near Baldwin and Walden roads. A lot of people here checking out this large scene. A lot of people witnessing the explosion. Take a look, take a listen to what they had to say.
It all happened at once, you know. I was in my house right here, baking cookies with my kid, and we just heard a big boom, shook my entire house. And I look out the window, I see flares, I see fire just popping through the sky, and yeah, I ran downstairs. I didn't know what to do. I was holding my kid. I had my girlfriend get our neighbor to try to figure out what's going on. And yeah, it was terrifying.
What did you think? I know your neighbor over here was thinking it was an earthquake. She said everything fell off her,
yeah.
Everything fell off the walls.
Luckily, nothing fell off my walls, but it felt like it was going to take a wall down. It felt like it happened at my house. Like, I was terrified if it was so strong.
That's what a lot of people out here have been saying. It was a scary moment. They could hear that loud explosion. They felt the earth shaking. Again, a lot of people displaced tonight. That's what the chief really wants people to know, to head to Woodside Church in Orion Township if you've been displaced by this. And again, 2 people taken to the hospitals with injuries after this explosion, a large explosion at this condominium here. Terrence, back to you.
All right, Kelly, thank you. And if you are just joining us, there are several investigators right now on the scene there after a condo explosion, likely a gas explosion. Investigators are still working that scene. We're told that they can't get in the building right now because it's not deemed safe. They do have several teams working together, though, to make sure that it is okay. Kelly, just again, if you could bring us up to speed on what you're hearing from some of those neighbors, a lot of them saying that they actually felt those shakes from their home.
Yeah, imagine you're just going about your life and you hear and feel a large explosion. And of course, where it came from was initially confusing for a lot of people, but then became clear the flames lasted a long time. Fire chiefs couldn't give us an exact start time of this explosion or exactly when they were called, but they've been here since, putting out hotspots, still actively putting out hotspots. And they say that's what's really been hard, because they haven't been able to get in the building itself and explore and investigate, because they had to make sure it's completely safe. The fire is out and that gas leak is controlled. DTE and consumers have been here on the scene throughout the evening, making sure that the gas leak is under control. And again, they say it's likely a gas leak. It's probably a gas leak. This is early in their investigation, but they did feel comfortable enough to point to a gas leak. And again, 2 people taken to the hospital with injuries, and countless others have been displaced because one building was the main explosion that, and you can see the damage there, significant, but that explosion then did significant damage to a nearby building and minor damage to some buildings surrounding it. So at this time, a lot of people in this area here are displaced from their homes. They're gathering at the nearby church, where they're going to be given resources if they need a place to stay and whatever they need over these coming hours while they can't go back inside their homes. Now, as I mentioned, crews still working to put out hot spots here on the scene, and they've already checked all the surrounding buildings. I talked to some neighbors who say they want to make sure it's safe for them to go home. The fire crews have been checking the nearby buildings to make sure they're not at any risk of any further gas leaks or any dangers from the fire. So if the fire department hasn't evacuated you, you're going to be all right. But if you have been, they really want to make sure that people know that there are resources available for you. They're not just kicking you out onto the street. Go to the Woodside Church that's in Orion Township. Now, they're also asking people to stay put.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, Terrence, that they're asking people to stay put because I couldn't even count how many fire trucks there are, probably 20 or 30 trucks out here, and a lot of them have hoses that are running across the street. So they want people to stay in their homes, don't go driving around, and do not drive over any of the fire hoses. So at the moment, they just want people to sit tight. And as you mentioned, Terrence, we are waiting. We're hoping to get a new update, some fresh information from the fire chief here soon.
Yeah, we were hoping to have that information by 9:15, but as Kelly has mentioned, this is still a very, very active scene. Still working to put out those hot spots. So right now we're just waiting at their mercy as they can get to us as soon as possible. But we do have a web story on everything that's happened so far available for you on our website, cbsdetroit.com. So far, authorities telling us that 2 people have been taken to the hospital. Right now, we're told that those injuries are critical but minor. They are still working the scene and working to get more information. Again, you can get up to speed on our website, cbsdetroit.com. Or Kelly Vaughn is there on the scene now. If we can pull up that video so you can see just what we're dealing with. That is a major explosion, likely a... Is there anything else you can tell us just in terms of what the people in that area are feeling and experiencing right now? Because this is a very scary situation for anybody.
It's scary because a gas leak that can come out of nowhere without any warning signs. So people were entirely unprepared to handle something like this. I was thinking maybe if I could step out of the way, Ferland, do you think we could zoom in? I could give you guys a live look because this has been an incredibly active scene, and what you're seeing is just part of it. Behind me, there is rows and rows and rows of fire trucks and police officers, everyone here working to make sure that everybody here stays safe. You probably have a better view of it here with him zooming in, but you can just see the number of fire crews that have been out here for hours. Talking to residents, they're grateful, of course, for all the work that's being done by the fire crews and those gas companies. Because as we said, this was likely caused by a gas leak. So they've been out here working to make sure that the gas is controlled. So obviously it doesn't lead to any further fires or explosions. And also so that the fire investigators can get inside and do what they need to do, because they aren't able to get inside and really work on making sure the fire is entirely out and making sure that they can figure out how this fire started. They can't do that work until the gas company tells them that it's entirely safe for them to go in. But you can just see there's many people here working to make sure that people are safe here tonight. And I did want to say that we do know at this point that 2 people have been injured and they were taken to the hospital with those injuries. We weren't given any updates exactly on what injuries they sustained. They did say that some of the injuries were minor, but they didn't give us a full picture of those injuries. But we do know at this point 2 people were taken to the hospital with some injuries of some kind. Now, the big point that the chief wanted to make sure everybody knows is there are resources out here. If you have been impacted by this explosion and maybe you were in one of the homes that was damaged or you're in a surrounding area and they don't want you driving your car through here, you have options. You can go to the Woodhaven Church that's here in Orion Township. From that church, you can get resources and support and everything that you might need. They do also really want to make sure people stay put. We know that these scenes can be a draw for a lot of people. You want to come out, you want to maybe thank the first responders, or you just want to get a glimpse of what's happening. They're asking people to stay away because there are, again, 20, 30 fire trucks, ambulances out here trying to get work done, and a lot of fire hoses that have been strung across the road. So they don't want people driving over those and impacting how they fight this fire. So if you've been impacted by this, you've got resources, and they just want you to stay put. Now, we are getting word that we're getting close to that press conference. They're going to give us a more full picture of what's happened. They gave us a brief update, and they said because they couldn't get into the building, they couldn't give us a full picture of exactly what's happening because they needed that gas leak to be controlled. And once the gas leak's controlled, hopefully they can get inside, get a more full picture. But they said they were comfortable enough to tell us that they believe it was a gas leak. He said it was probably caused by a gas leak, just with their initial investigation. Obviously, with more time here on the scene, they'll be able to paint a more full picture of what caused it. But again, 2 people suffered injuries in this fire, which the building you saw extreme damage to that one building, and that explosion then caused pretty serious damage to another building here in this condominium area, and then some minor damage to others. So while those 2 injuries, they were taken to the hospital, a lot of other people displaced here tonight. We talked with people who say that they were just pretty stunned by the explosion. It took some time for them to understand what was happening because an explosion that large, it sounded loud, it shook the ground. We heard from that resident earlier who said they were just worried for them and their child and just wanted to make sure that they were safe. But when you hear that explosion coming from, you don't know where it's coming from. Then smoke, flames started to come out from this condo area that's behind us, and fire crews have been here working since. And there's crews from all over the area. It's not just this local area that's been here. All right, let's go to Terrence now in the studio.
Yeah, Kelly, and like you mentioned, it is very important to heed those warnings to stay away from that area. Also, if our producer could cue up the sound from earlier where we were hearing from investigators, but it's important to stay away from that area because while they're working, there are so many different things happening and they're trying to get control of things. It's kind of similar to what we saw in Clinton Township when there was an explosion at the Goose Smoke Shop and someone ended up actually losing their life there. So you do want to stay away from those areas while those investigators are working. Several different agencies working together now to try to put out those hot spots and keep that explosion contained, keep the fire from spreading. We are expecting to hear from investigators in just a moment, but right now we want to go back to some of the sound that we heard earlier tonight as they gave us an update on what's happening so far.
Possibly or probably a gas leak that caused an explosion. We're not sure, we haven't confirmed any of that, but that's what the initial looks like. We don't know where in the building it would be. We have transported 2 people with critical injuries to the hospitals as of right now, a couple with minor injuries. We do have a relocation and displacement set up at the Woodside Church here in Orion Township. The crews have worked with DTE and consumers in order to get the gas leak controlled at the time. We're putting out some spot fires, and then we'll be able to get some additional information to you at a later time once we've been able to search that building. But as of right now, we've not been able to search the building that exploded because it's been deemed unsafe, and we had to get the gas leak under control first.
One building? 2 buildings?
It was 1 building that exploded. It did cause damage, significant damage to 1 other building, and it looks like minor damage to 2 or 3 other buildings.
The criticals, were they inside, I guess, or walking nearby?
I do not know where they were found. Obviously, an involving incident like that, the first crews picked them up, transported them rapidly to the hospital so they could get the care that they needed, and we're going to put that together as the scene evolves.
What departments are all on scene here tonight?
We have Oxford Township, Independence Township, Orion Township, Oakland Township, Rochester Hills, Auburn Hills, the Sheriff's Department, and I'm sure 1 or 2 others.
Team effort, for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Are people able to move in and out of here? I've heard some people who are like in neighboring buildings being told to stay put because it's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever the biggest development.
All right.
Are we all good? Yes. Okay.
Is everybody ready?
And who are you with as well?
Okay, yep. My name is Ryan Allen. I'm the fire chief with the Orion Township Fire Department. With me
Chris
is
Barnett, Orion Township Supervisor.
Supervisor?
Orion Township Supervisor, correct, yeah.
Okay, we're going to give them just 1 second.
2, you got me? We're good. Cool. I told the web,
We're just standing by right now from an update from the fire chief.
I'm sorry, what are
Okay.
the latest updates?
Nope. Right now we're working with Consumers Energy in order to control a gas-fed fire that is on the one side of the building. I know that we've had some footage that's been taken of it. They're having to excavate into the ground in order to access it. Unfortunately, it's just one of those unusual situations that's difficult to get to. So we're working with them in order to make the scene safe. We're providing a water suppression so their crews can work and they'll be able to get that under control. From what we can tell, we've put drones in the air in order to be able to tell that we have very minimal fire throughout the rest of the building. Our plan right now is once the fire is out, the fire crews will make sure that the fire has completely been extinguished. We're working with the Oakland County Technical Rescue Team in order to be able to fly drones through the structure in order to be able to do a primary search and survey for victims. We currently have 2 people that are unaccounted for. We do have names and we are trying to make contact with those people, but so far have been unsuccessful. So that effort is still going to continue. Meanwhile, we're hoping to be able to get some drone footage in there in order to be able to take a good look. And then we'll work with the technical rescue team in order to be able to actually put people in order to verify that either there is somebody or isn't somebody in that building.
So obviously you got something pretty serious here with 2 people on account.
Correct. There could be fatalities. We are working actually under the presumption that somebody could be trapped in the structure. When we see gas explosions like this, sometimes we see where that building has collapsed in on itself, and we have somebody that's trapped in a pocket or something like that. So without being able to make contact with those people, that's the presumption that we're taking at the moment. So it's still a rescue here and not a recovery. We're not calling them fatalities, we're calling them missing people because there is still a possibility that either they've exited the building, weren't in the building in the first place, or that we'll find them when we make entry with people later on tonight.
Ages, gender, anything on
Nothing that we're willing to release at the time. Again, we're trying to make contact with them through any mean that we have at the moment. So other than that, we're working, as you can see, with a variety of different agencies. We anticipate being here throughout the night as we continue the rescue efforts.
Have you experienced anything like this in your career?
Unfortunately, yes. We've done similar things like this before. We're just kind of going through a standard checklist of things that we do that we know are successful. So we're still hoping for good outcomes in the end of this. And like I said, we're still operating as if this is a rescue and not a recovery.
So this was gas for sure?
We're not sure exactly what it is initial, but we're not willing to claim anything. Our inspectors, we're working with the sheriff's office. Nobody has been able to get in there to make any kind of investigation at the moment. So
we heard there may be a hero of sorts, an Amazon driver who was right at the house right before the explosion, or maybe even helped rescue somebody? Have you heard?
Possible, but nothing that's been reported yet.
Right.
Usually those stories don't come until sometime midday tomorrow before we get those pieces worked out.
And you said 2 critical, and how many others are also in the hospital?
We transported 2 people off the scene. Anybody else that was what we call a walking wounded, they were able to self-extricate and get, but we've only transported 2 people from the scene.
And then Supervisor, can we ask you what it's like to see everybody hard at work tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible teamwork. Our people are the best in the business, and see the community already coming out, and multiple churches have opened their doors to take in people that are being displaced. This is, we hate these opportunities. We hate when these things happen, but this is what our team trains for. We've had a similar experience like this a few years ago, so we're prepared to handle this situation, and we're so grateful for the support of our surrounding community departments and the already outpouring of support from the greater community looking to help these people. So,
Any more updates tonight, or do we think that'll be early morning?
Give me about 45 minutes,
Sure.
and I'll tell you if there's going to be another update or not. I mean, I hate to
We'll
kind of
be
put you on
here,
that
yeah.
limbo, but
We'll be here through
that's
the
where I'm
11,
at.
sure,
We'll-
so.
And you said Woodside?
Woodside Church.
Located
So
like
they're on
where in?
Joslin Road. So Woodside
Joslin.
Church is at Canterbury Village, just about a mile from here, north and east. And they immediately opened their doors. We had the North Oakland Transportation Authority buses here picking up folks and taking them to Woodside. Since that point, I just talked to the pastor at Woodside. There's no one there at this time. So people were able to get relatives and friends and family to pick them up. But they're still there if need be, and we're here to help people if they need it. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, so you just got that latest update from the fire chief here, and I want to run you through some of the highlights of what he said. So at this point, we know that 2 people are unaccounted for still. They say they're operating as if this is a rescue. They say there are times in explosions like this where people can be trapped under debris, so they're going to be here through the night working to make sure that they account for those 2 people. Now, the 2 people that are unaccounted for, they say they know their names, they know who they are, but they haven't been able to contact them. It doesn't mean that they're inside, but they're going to operate as if they are trapped inside the building. They also say that at this point, to control the gas leak, they're having to excavate the ground, dig into the ground to reach that gas leak, and the fire department's providing water suppression as the gas company works to get to the gas leak. So they have used drones. Since they can't get inside the building at this point, they've used drones to fly through, and they say that they've seen there's very minimal fire. And they're going to continue to use drones to see until they can get in there and hopefully rescue those people. So at this point, we know 2 people injured, 2 people taken to the hospital, some minor injuries on the scene here as well, but 2 people that were injured enough to be taken to the hospital. No exact word on what those injuries are or how they are at this point in the night. 2 people injured, 2 people unaccounted for. And as I said, the fire chief, they're working this as if this is a rescue situation. They're not saying this is a recovery. They're saying this is a rescue, so they're operating as if they're inside, trapped under debris, which they say does happen in these kinds of situations. Now, he just said that he didn't exactly want to say it was a gas leak, but initially they had said it is likely a gas leak that caused the large explosion here at this condominium site. Multiple people displaced, though. They did say that nobody is at the church. They had given that church as a gathering point. Nobody's there, so everybody has found places to stay for the night. But of course, they're providing resources to everybody who might need it, but they're going to be here on scene through the night, working to first control that gas leak. As I said, they're digging into the ground to reach the gas leak. The gas company is working on that. Then they're also using drones to fly through since they can't get inside. They say there's minimal fire, but they're still working to put that out, and they will continue to work through the night to hopefully rescue those 2 people that were unaccounted for. We're going to, of course, bring you more tonight on CBS News Detroit at 11, and we'll keep you updated with everything as we learn it. Back to you, Terrence.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. Kelly, live for us right now in Orion Township. We just heard from fire investigators. They're telling us that they are dealing with what is likely a gas-fed fire that started on one side of that condo building there, then spreading and then creating an issue for other buildings in the area. We're also getting word from CBS News Network that the 2 people who were taken to the hospital in critical condition have been a 72-year-old male and a 75-year-old female. And again, they are also looking for 2 people that they say are unaccounted for, but they're hoping that they're possibly in that building still trapped. Kelly is on the scene. She'll be there live for us again. again on CBS News Detroit at 11. And if there is another update that we need to bring to you, we'll bring that to you over the air and also online. CBSNewsDetroit.com, the CBS News app, and Pluto TV. See you at 11.